All right, what's up, everybody? It's BallietBran. Today we got a very special stream and hangout with another Hexican. We'll bring him on in just a couple of minutes once the intro runs. But his name is Mystic Pimp. We've got his Twitter in the description, and then we also have the YouTube channel in the description as well. He's got about 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, so that's really cool and really exciting that he's into Hex. Kind of, did a stream for the first time the other day. And then also he had jumped on Discourse Syndicate maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago in the F and Hangout, which I really resonated with some of his stories. So without further ado, let's play the intro and we'll get right into it.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. Say hey, hey, woo! Hey, yeah! Say hey, woo! Say hey, yeah! Say hey, hey! Woo! Stake that hick, 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 stake that hick. Every time I look up, price went up. I go to the store, come back, price went up. Every time I look up, price went up. No matter what I do, price is still going up. Hell yeah. Ching, ching, motherfucker. Ching, ching. I am the book. Ching, ching, motherfucker. I just keep hitting jackpot after motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. BallietBran.
Cool, guys. So let me bring on Mystic Pimp here. Sorry about the background. There's some dogs barking. But once again, let me bring on Mystic Pimp, and we'll get right into it. Hey, what's up, Mystic Pimp? How's it going, man?
What's up, dog? Can you see me well?
Totally. I can see you well for sure. I might actually have to shut the window real quick behind me. Our dogs are just going off. I think got little neighbor dogs. But anyways, thanks for coming on, man. Like I said, I know you've got a YouTube channel that's almost at like 500,000 subscribers, and then the Twitter channel too. Can you maybe, tell us some of your story, how you even found Hex in the first place and got into crypto, and kind of some of the introduction?
Yeah, so first found out, when I found out about Hex, I instantly went in. This was like June. But before then, like at the beginning of this year, I was like pretty much broke. I had like $5,000-$6,000 to my name and lived in a shitty, like ghetto apartment in New York, in a terrible area. And like, I was very in a weird situation, and I started learning about manifesting through the likes of like Bob Proctor and Neville Goddard. And I started writing down goals about becoming very wealthy and being free and being happy and being just living my best life. I started seeing content that was like assuring me that I could create my own reality. So I took that in my own hands. And while I was my most broke, I started writing things down like, I will be rich this year. I will have $100,000. I will have $1 million. And then, so I wrote down that I would have $100,000 by January 31st, 2021. And then on that day, some random person came to me and told me about cryptocurrency. And I just instantly got so infatuated. And then I realized that like a week later that was like the manifestation date that I like asked for. So the universe just like sort of gave it to me. And then from there, I just started digging. I made a crypto Twitter, like a random one. I started digging through a bunch of like trash, scam coins all over the place, like Matic Network, like the whole everything, man, And but I turned $5,000 into you know, a substantial amount of money through a bunch of stupid stuff. And then I found Hex in June around like 5 cents. I went all in, and everything's been gravy since. And just learning who Richard Hart is and what it's all about in Hex. And, you know, I've seen everything I need to see, you know. This is where it goes down.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's a very powerful story. I mean, I know, as I was saying when you were on the Discourse Syndicate, that I really resonate with the same thing, kind of, you know, writing down your goals, not focusing on what you don't want, but focusing on what you do want, kind of being grateful for what you have. So that's cool that it manifested so timely and so perfectly. When you mentioned, I think you said the certain goal kind of got met on that day, you said?
It changed my whole world when I seen that happen. Like, I wrote this thing down about having an X amount of money on January 31st, 2021. And on that day specifically, the information, all that I needed to know, this random person just showed me the whole way on crypto. And he was telling me about like pump and dump shit and really stupid trash, you know, a lot of scam, like get in now and get out tomorrow type thing. But it provoked my brain, and I just started writing down more goals that I would have $1 million, $7 million. And then this intuition comes down and just shows you how to make it, you know? And then like everything led to Richard Hart, and that shit just clicked for me. As soon as I watched his live streams and like understood that he's a logical person, that is really the only dude here who gives a fuck about us, you know? Everybody else is just like pump and dump, no emotions, like hiding behind a, like, you know, internet character, but he's really out there doing his thing. And then once that clicked for me, everything changed, because I used to not sleep well at night knowing that like you could be down the next day, literally just like, and nothing to show for it, you know? But with Hex, like, I mean, this dip, I'm sleeping great, you know? Like, some people that I've onboarded that are new, they're like, oh my gosh, but you know, it's just skin in the game. You got to put your time in, you know?
It's really true, man. I talk about it a lot on the streams, that whether it's crypto or real estate or stocks, sometimes people, when they're just getting into it, they do kind of buy at like the top of a market cycle. And then, as you mentioned, it kind of consolidates down a little bit, and they're wondering what the heck is going on. But it really is one of those things that it's the highest appreciating asset class in the world. And say with Bitcoin, right, you don't get that 6.5 million X worth of gains without some serious volatility and some serious dips as well. So that's really cool that you mentioned that you can kind of sleep better at night and understand that every single day, based on how long you're staked for, you get paid out in the form of Hex too, which is even better.
Decentralized money printer life. I just like, you just know you're good, you know? It's crazy. It's like, that's just not the same for anything else. Like, if you have anything else, like, there's people that think they're logical because they stack Satoshis. Like, oh, I have this conservative aspect where I flip altcoins and then I buy small amounts of Ethereum and Bitcoin. Like that's not like, it's not safe or smart. Like, it's very just like programmed to think that it's legit. But you know, Bitcoin could very well go to 10K, and what did all your stacking of Satoshis really do for you? You know?
Yeah, no, it's true, man. Like, a lot of the, as you mentioned, a lot of the crypto space itself is kind of hype and narrative, and less of it are, you know, the things that are less in it is actual products, like say Hex or Uniswap, actual smart contracts that are immutable and actually provide a service. So like you mentioned, there's people that stack the sats, but at the end of the day, you know, if you just have one Bitcoin, that's all you have. It's just one Bitcoin. It's not like you have any more. But in Hex with the staking, especially now, like the earlier you're in, a lot of us are being rewarded very highly for staking and for having the amount of shares. So the amount that you can earn is just pretty crazy.
The fact that I made any money off of things like bananas, like there were coins I were invested in, like Banana, Ape Swap Finance, like all these finance coins, dude, like Fish Coin, like Matic Network. Shit, all my money was on the Matic Network. Like, literally could have been rug pulled like at any time. Like, truly blessed that I even made $1. Like, it was insane. But once I pulled out of that and realized like what I was doing, it was insane. It was retarded.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. There's a lot of fallacies that people have. I mean, a lot of people don't even know that it's had a lot of security issues and like literally called like critical vulnerabilities where they could have printed as much Bitcoin as they had wanted. And one time it was actually like enabled, and the other time it was just discovered by a different developer, and then the actual fix was implemented. But you're definitely right, man. A lot of people, I think, just in general, whether it's crypto or other things, they don't really look into the finer detail, the granularity to see what's legitimate and what's not. Because you've got like the Pareto principle, but this is really like 99.9% to the rest. The actual projects in the crypto space, a lot of them are just quickly made and don't really have much utility and value behind it.
Dude, it was to the point where like I had my money on Aave, the lending platform, and I like watched this video where it's like this guy does like a hyper collateralized loan. So I'm like, I take Matic and I put it on Aave, and then I'm taking out USDC on the Matic as a loan, and then buying more Matic, and then like making the loan bigger and like repeating this cycle. And I thought I was just invincible. And then literally like I was like a penny, like one day there was just a flash crash and I was like a penny away from being liquidated. It was like absolutely absurd. Like I seen my life flash before my eyes. Like it was, it was insane. But like I to this day, I don't believe I would have made any dollars or I would have been liquidated if I didn't know about Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard is like this dude from like the 30s and 40s who like talks about manifesting in a different way, where you pretty much live in the end, you live in the state of the wish fulfilled. So if you want to be rich, then you want to like convince yourself that you're actually rich right now, and you want to like go to sleep every night feeling rich and feeling like you're successful and imagining your wealthy life. And it was to the, like I would do these Neville Goddard exercises before I'm going to sleep. Like I would imagine myself in a mansion with all, like I'd close my eyes and go to sleep and I'm laying on my back and I'm just imagining me and my friends in a mansion on a beach, and I look over at my friends and I'm like, we're so rich, like we're free, we're happy, like woo, and then literally I would do those exercises, and then like the next morning wake up, find out who Richard Hart is, and like go in, like, because the way that those manifestations work is like if you tell the universe that you want to be rich via imagining your reality in that way, you will then be given an intuition from your gut, and that intuition it's up to you to follow that intuition, that gut feeling, and then go forward with it. You can either be scared and not do it, or you can have this nagging feeling telling you like, oh wow, like there's this weird feeling where I feel like I want to like go all in on Richard Hart and Hex, it's like weird things like that, but they changed my life forever. And like if it wasn't for that, I can't imagine I can't imagine doing anything in crypto if I wasn't also with the station background, Well, for you hexicans, you're safe. You already did the work. You have hex, but like for people that don't have hex, like I can't imagine the game of musical chairs that they play every day with their whole life. It's honestly crazy.
Right. Yeah, it's true, man. Like we were saying earlier, that the power of what you actually think about really does make a big difference. And if you're focused on what's always wrong around you or what's going wrong, then generally you're not going to get out of that, or that's kind of all you see. But as you mentioned, even if you're not actually there yet, kind of imagining that goal being fulfilled in the future. Because I did the same thing too, man, when it comes to writing goals and attaining wealth and knowledge and stuff like this, where I would write it down and just say, hey, this is what I want. This is kind of where I want to be in a couple of years, things like this. And it's pretty cool, the power of how that can actually come into fruition. But just like with anything else, whether it's working out or dieting, stuff like that, you need to be like consistent, in my opinion, as far as the actual intention and keeping your mind focused on what you do want.
Yeah, I mean, if you write these things down and they're so bold, like, I mean, you've already manifested it on paper right there. And like there's so many people that have this mental image that this is just corny and not believable. But when I wrote, you can't tell me it's corny. I wrote down that I had a certain amount of money by a certain day, and I had that money. Like, you can't make that shit up. You know what I mean? Like, and certain opportunities, like, about traveling to certain places, and then having a new apartment and being able to paint it all, like, we painted this place all white, even the floors, like everything. I wrote this shit down on a piece of paper, like, and then I read it to myself before I went to sleep, and like that will change your life. It really will. Like, it's not corny, it's not far fetched. It's really realistic. The mind is like a computer; it can really bring it all into reality. It's crazy.
Right. Well, you go from just wanting something to, taking the further action, as you mentioned, of the next step, writing it down, and then putting that plan into process. Most people don't really take it to the second step, and that's what you need to actually achieve what you're looking for, and to find those answers that you're talking about. So that's pretty awesome, man. That's really cool that you kind of had some of the experience with crypto in general, and then you mentioned that you kind of, did you stumble across Hex, or you found his Richard's live streams, or how specifically did you actually find out about that?
So, like I said, I did a money exercise that was a exercise from Neville Goddard, and this exercise included me laying down to go to sleep, and while I close my eyes and lay down to go to sleep, I'm counting $100,000 in my hand. I'm like literally like counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1,000, 1, 2. I'm counting imaginary stacks of thousands of dollars in my hands, and feeling rich. Like, I'm imagining myself in a mansion, a beautiful mansion that's like on an island, and I feel wealthy. I'm like, there's a smile on my face, it's just like you come into this feeling of like having what you want right there. You're so indulged in this moment that you literally convince yourself it's real. So I then fall asleep in that feeling. I wake up the next morning and I get on crypto Twitter and immediately see this guy named Richard Hart. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like, yada, yada, yada. I follow him. I see what Hex is, and I'm like, okay, it looks interesting. I send it to my friend. I was busy this day, and I told my friend to look at it for me. We like got into crypto together, and he was like, like Richard Hart's sort of an asshole. Like, I don't really dig this. Like, maybe we should like stay in what we're doing, which is like Matic and all that stupid stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, like whatever. I didn't really give it much thought. And then I kept doing this money exercise where I'm imagining lots of money in my life before I go to sleep. And I wake up like 3 mornings after whatever, and I see Richard Hart just like all over my page, and it's talking about, and like this new thing is like Pulse Chain, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Nice.
And it just clicked for me. I like took the time to actually watch his YouTube videos. And hearing him talk is like, it just resonated with me, because I am like the same type of way where I like straightforward information, no bullshit, no like nice guy shit, just like get to the point and like be truthful, just honest, bold truth. And that's what Richard Hart stands for. And that's what I stand for. I like that shit. So it just hit me. I'm just like, this is like my guy. This is my guy. So, I just went all in, and that shit really changed everything for me. Everything. Like,
that's cool.
And then all the money goals that I wrote down about having X amount of money at X date, all came through like that. Just like that.
No,
crazy.
That's really cool. And like you mentioned, the difference between like Richard and a lot of the other people that are kind of in the crypto space, things like that. Because some of the first videos that I saw from him were like the self-help, and you can tell that clearly not only was he, is he knowledgeable, but he wanted to like provide value and let other people kind of learn from his, experiences as well. And then a little bit later, maybe, I don't know, a couple months later, he started doing crypto videos. And that was when I was like, okay, this guy is just a wealth of knowledge. He really understands a lot of things.
And that's what clicked my brain to be like, wait, like at first I found out about Hex and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And then I told my immediate friends around me, and that changed their whole financial situation. They turned nothing into 6 figures very easily. And then from there, it turned into like, wait a second, like, first I had to analyze it to make sure I wasn't telling people like absolute bullshit, And then
Mhm.
when I realized like what the hell this actually is and like that it ain't going anywhere, I now I'm just like, wait, why I have to get this information out? Like I can't keep this inside. Like I have a nice cult following on Instagram of like 7,000 followers, and I have a large YouTube audience, and the YouTube audience is definitely a mixed niche of people because it came from pretty like, I mean, you could say shitty underground rap music. If you go to my YouTube channel, you will see a lot of like random rap videos and stuff. The main reason that it blew up was if you go to the most popular videos, you'll see like videos from like 4 years ago with like a
I've got it
hundred
right
million.
here.
Yeah, so go sort it by most popular. So like
Okay.
all of these videos, I was just a random kid who just like found out about this niche genre of SoundCloud music. And I just started
Nice.
putting it on YouTube. I just started condensing all of this SoundCloud rap into one YouTube channel. And it was getting no views, man. It was getting no views. I just did it for myself and for my friends. Like just like, hey, like here's the cool music, bro. And then it all blew the fuck up. And now all those artists that you see right there are like the like popular people. Like they're not like Drake and Lil Wayne, but like they're some of the most popular modern day musicians, like period. It's crazy. And that was a whole other manifestation thing, but I didn't even know about manifesting at that age. I didn't know what I was doing. Like I used to daydream about a much better life for myself, and then this came to me. But I had no idea that I was actually like making my dreams a reality through my like imagination. That was just like experimenting, and I just got really lucky, honestly, very lucky. But
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, like that now it's like I just want to spend my time getting this word out. Like I want to spend my time like you guys live streaming on my channel, hosting other hexagons, um, and just putting the facts in your face. And there's going to be people that don't want to change their life, and there's people that don't want to get money. Like I had to learn that the hard way. But like a lot of people, so there's a lot of people that don't want to change their worldview and get rich. But there's tons of people that do want to be financially free as well. And like I feel like when you get enlightened in this way, and I'm not trying to sound like enlightened, when you learn
Sure.
about a decentralized money printer, who are you to like not tell your best friends and family and people about that? Like you got to spread the word, even if they get annoyed by it. You got to be like, dude, come on, wake up here.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, a lot of people, they're kind of focused on other things in general when it comes to what they're focused on in life. But I agree. Hex has been so life changing for me that there's a couple of different airdrops that a lot of us hexicans had gotten, and instead of using that airdrop to fatten my pockets even more, I had done it to I had given my brothers, the girlfriend, things like that, the family, some hex, staked it for them, and a lot of them had no idea like what it was. They're kind of like, okay, this is the crypto that Brandon's in. But now, after the first 2x, and then now it's been probably like 32x since I first put it in, they're like, what is this thing? And as you mentioned, if you know something that can benefit someone so much, it's kind of up to you to at least like tell them that such a thing exists.
It's crazy, man. Like there's no better feeling than watching your homie become financially free forever, and they're just like, holy fuck, like all the like people think that money is like, there's people that like, I'm not a money person, like being rich isn't important. Those people they have the wrong view, because sorry to break it to you, money is the key to all doors in this lifestyle. I mean, in this life in general, not even my lifestyle. Like if you don't have money, you can't buy the food you want, you can't wear the clothes you want, you can't live in a nice apartment or the nice house, you can't go travel where you want. So anybody who says they're a money person is a fool. It's simply their programming of being broke. It's most of us are programmed to be broke because we grew up in poor environments, or we have parents like mine who told me that money only comes to those who work hard for it, and that money is very hard to get, and rich people are either really lucky and evil, or like they work super, super duper hard, blood, sweat, and tears, like, every day. And it's just like, no, it's not true. Like Richard Hart says, there's free lunch everywhere. There's literally airdrops. People will airdrop millions of dollars. Like, it comes out of thin air. Like, to think that you have to be a wage slave for money is so, it really like hits my like core, because my parents constantly told me that life was going to be hard, and like money wasn't going to come easily to me. I had to work hard for it. I had to go to college. I had to do this shit. And, I couldn't actually tell them like, fuck you. But in my head, I'm like, fuck you. Like, this is not what's happening. Like, I'm not, I always seen like a different life for myself. Like,
Right.
and it's like that innate, like as kids, we know what's bullshit, and then slowly but surely we get conditioned by the environment and our parents telling us again and again. And we just sort of sink into this like programming from our parents and our environment. And we're like, okay, like, I guess I'm not supposed to be rich, or like the rich people are lucky. I'm not lucky, And then you got to like break the mold and then be like, no, I'm rich. Like, I'm lucky. I'm like abundant, And then the floodgates open, and you're just like, you call it upon the universe, and the universe gives you exactly what you wanted. It's
Well,
crazy.
yeah, totally. I mean, like you mentioned with your parents, I haven't gotten the same rejection from them specifically, but I've heard very similar things, at least not when it comes to crypto. Where, yeah, you mentioned that they, want to work a traditional job and spend all that time in the system, but little do they know that's like the old paradigm. And it was pretty interesting the other day when my grandpa, maybe like a year ago, saw me streaming on Facebook, and he saw me talking about crypto, and he didn't really pay much attention to it. But then the last time that I talked to him most recently, maybe just a week ago, he's like, Bran, I want to get into Hex. He's 91. He's like, I want to get into Hex. I see that this is working for you. Like, how can I put money into it? And I was like, man, you don't have to put any money into it. Let me, give back a little bit, since you've, given us so much growing up. But you're definitely right. I mean, sometimes it's like shifting the way of thinking. I mean, even though I was born in 96, I know a lot of people in like the analog world kind of had the same paradigm shift and paradigm change when the internet and things like that came out. Like, there was just so much more that people benefited from that invention.
Dude, I'm born in 1999. I feel you.
Nice.
We're a different breed, man. It's weird, but it's lit. We're lucky to be like born in such a time. It really is the greatest time. Even though there's a lot of weird shit happening in the world right now, you still just got to be grateful that you literally have this computer screen where you can get all this knowledge, and you can literally like you can acquire a decentralized money printer and say fuck you to the Fed and just like win. Like, that's just so lucky, man. We're so blessed.
Well, yeah, most people honestly don't even realize how the fiat works in general, and the amount of inflation that's going on is really devaluing whatever they're saving for. Say if it's in dollars, and even though you might get like, I don't know, maybe like a 2 or 3% raise, say annually, the rate of inflation can outpace what you're actually making. And so now it's like, okay, you're making even less than you were before because everything else is more expensive. And so, yeah, you're definitely right, man. A lot of people kind of don't really focus on things like that, but you kind of need to know how the system works to be able to see a different paradigm and to understand things like Hex and why it's actually important.
Shout out to Gerardo. Love Gerardo. I see this chat. Really
Yeah.
appreciate you what you do. I appreciate all the Hexicans, bro. It's so sick what you guys do, and like y'all inspire me to come out the woodwork and like use my voice just like y'all, man, and just get the word out, man. It's important, bro. It's important. But
Yeah,
the main message from me is like, if you don't have the money that you like really want in your life, you got to understand that, like, I'm not going to say it's your fault, but it's like up here, man. And you can bring whatever that wealth is into your life. Like, if you want millions of dollars, you can bring that into your life. You gotta learn that, like, you can manifest your whole reality. You can change everything with your thoughts and your feelings and your day-to-day emotions. And like, where's your awareness at? Are you thinking about how fucked up the world is and how poor you used to be? Or are you thinking about how you're a rich man and the future is bright for you and like God is good? And that type of gratefulness mentality will just change your life. I literally had nothing at the beginning of this year, a few $1,000s to my name, like broke, smoking weed, a lot of just negativity, bro. And
Sure.
everything changed for me when I changed my mindset and started writing things down on a piece of paper about money and happiness and freedom and when I started like learning what God means and going to sleep imagining, it all changed. So just know that you at home, you got this, bro. You can do the shit. You can make your wildest dreams come true. And Hex is the best way to just amplify the life, you know? It's like a money and life multiplier, you know?
Totally. It really is. Honestly, like, I never expected because I was in crypto since like March 2017, but I never expected something like Hex to not only solve like the financial problem that a lot of people are having, myself included at the time, but just everything else. Like, I'd never really been a part of a community. Like, sure, I'd done football and some other things growing up, but none of it was ever as genuine as, say, like the Hexicans and like you mentioned with people like Richard, always trying to get back and educate others. And you'd mentioned that you kind of felt inspired from some of the Hexican streamers, and it's pretty cool, man. You never know who's listening or lurking in the background that might just be that next person that streams in the future and kind of pushes it even further.
It really clicked in my brain when I realized that like these people like Johnny Chaos and like Kareem and like Matty Allen, I mean, they're approaching like the fucking $100 million like region of worth, and they're over here spending their time talking to you. Like, that is incredible. Like, most people would get that money and literally fuck off forever. True. And never talk to you and never give a shit. And these people are literally like sacrificing their hard-earned time, valuable, sacred time, and telling you and me about Hex. And like, that shit. And Matty Allen said one thing that really stuck me. It was like, if you're grateful for something like Hex, the best way for you to show the world that you're grateful is literally to help the next man, you know? Yep. It's like, I'm so grateful for what Hex has done, so let me pass it on to you because it's so good. Like, it's like we have that, like we have a, I don't want to say we have a duty, but we do almost, like you do. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, you're definitely right, especially when you're trying to look for ways to give back. I mean, that's kind of what made me start streaming in the first place in general. Was I saw Hexologist streaming first, and then I saw RG3 with Discourse Syndicate, and then when he had like opened up that opportunity that, hey, even though he was the one streaming, he would allow like anyone to come on. That was kind of like a really cool opportunity for me to introduce myself to other Hexicans. But then that experience was so like profound that it was like, okay, there's something here. Let me, use the knowledge that I do have to be able to give back, like you mentioned. Because if you can have someone else have the same success that you've had, it's like what Richard says, that most people that are wealthy in the world, they didn't just get there by being slimy or by like scheming and scamming. They got there by like providing more value to those people, and in return, obviously have more abundance. But you're right. There's a lot of Hexicans that have even retired or don't need to, and they're spending their time streaming and answering people's questions.
And dude, like I started reading and listening to the Sci-Vibe audiobook, and like,
nice.
Dude, shit is awesome, man. Shit is awesome.
Where did you find the audiobook by chance?
Dude, on YouTube, I think some random Mexican literally like paid for a audiobook service to read the book. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not the best. It sort of sounds a little robotic, but
Okay.
dude, Sci-Vibe is like this literal genius stream of consciousness, just like from Richard Hart's brain to you. It's like really, really good. Like it resonates with me so much about everything. It's like how I've looked at the world for so long, but he just like affirms it so hard. It's like it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. So I suggest that you guys get on.
I was gonna say I'll share the screen because I've heard of it before, but I didn't realize that it was actually here on YouTube. So yeah, I guess that's really cool that there's an actual audiobook. And like you mentioned, that was someone that had taken their own time and invested into that audiobook because they knew that other people would benefit. And honestly, most people are so busy that they're not going to sit down to read all 500 pages, things like that, but they will listen to the audio.
For me, I'm like sort of dumb. I'm not dumb, but like,
Sure.
like reading Sci-Vibe, my like the head and the voice in my head does, it's like I don't know how to like pace it, and like some of the words are a little loaded, and I'm not really like putting it together, but then the audiobook comes through and I'm like, like that's like gets absorbed in my awareness a lot easier, and especially listening to that right before you go to sleep, you're just imprinting your brain with this like with this genius from Richard Hart, and it's like really sick.
No, it's true, man. I stopped listening to like most music in general and just recently started, kind of listening more so to say like instrumentals and things like that, or just all of the Hexagon content, right? Whenever
that's a big one right there.
It's true, man. Yeah, you got to be able to kind of change some of the things that you're used to and, manipulate that variable just a little bit to have the result that you're looking for, or to kind of break through the resistance. And so anyways, that's cool that there's an audiobook, man, because same thing for me. I've maybe read, I don't know, 20 or 30 pages, but reading isn't my biggest strong suit either. So an audio version is super easy to listen to.
Yeah, big time. And like what you said about stopping listening to music a little, bro, that was such a big realization for me when, I come from like a huge music platform, like this and that, listening to rap music all the time. And then I started realizing how to manifest. And then I started realizing how negative these lyrics are. And then you realize that like that's being imprinted upon my subconscious, and that can very easily start to manifest like terrible things for you. So I started like it's really hard for me to listen to any music with lyrics at all, because now it's like they get stuck in my head so easily, and they're usually not the lyrics that I want to be stuck in my head, So yeah, I catch myself like listening to like jazz music and like, like just electronic music that's like positive and like gives me a good feeling, and really just audiobooks all the time that are like I listen to a lot of Neville Goddard audiobooks, because Neville Goddard is like the manifest guy who changed my life. And then like Sci-Vibe, I've just been listening to Sci-Vibe like on repeat. I just keep getting something new from it every time. It's really, really awesome.
What would you say that you like, one thing that you like about what you've heard from Sci-Vibe? If you can think of
like,
anything right
okay, I mean, it's just so logical. Like liberal arts and going to college for stupid shit is bullshit. Period. Like if you're going to go to school, learn something valid, like how to build something or how to like, help the world. Don't be some like gender scientist, like liberal arts person. Like nobody needs that shit. And like how really we just have a lot of wasted potential in the world from all this like mass media pretty much brainwashing us into being like lazy and like consumed with like instant gratification, like and story and just so much shit, man. And like
True.
I mean, think about Richard Hart, right? He's probably like in his 40s or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like he grew up in a time where like you probably are you're not on fucking Snapchat and TikTok You know, and nowadays, you literally have little kids that are playing Fortnite on an iPad and asking their mom for the Travis Scott burger. And like they're on like TikTok and Snapchat, and it's like, dude, like this is terrible, bro. Like that's like so scary to think about, you know, that these young conscious like individuals are being like just steered in the wrong direction. And Sci-Vibe is like this breath of fresh air that's like, dude, wake up, like come to reality. Like, do you want to live the life of your dreams, or do you want to just like live a passive life of like the 99%, you know? The Sci-Vibe is like a very 1% book. If you're like a 1%er, if you believe in that 1% mentality shit, which I think all Hexicans should, because we are different, you know, and if you're here, you're probably different, man. You're probably a 1%er. You probably see things for yourself that most people don't see, you know. A lot of people see normal things in their imagination in their life. They are very limited by their imagination. For me, the sky's the limit. I see, you know, real estate all over the world. I see like traveling all the time, like living my best life. You know, that's some 1% shit. And Sci-Vibe is like your like older brother who's like reaffirming and reassuring you that like yes, you're on the right track. Like here's what else to do. Like how to be efficient with your time. This is something I work at every day because like we growing up in this oversaturated world full of Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, all this stuff, and you got to slow down and like realize like where's your time going, where's your like awareness going.
Yep.
You know, like instead of picking up the video game, like, you know, sitting down and listening to something that's gonna like help your brain grow, or like putting work into something, you know, like how you could have spent all this time playing Call of Duty and Mario Kart, but you know, you've provided a service to the Hexican community, and like you've helped so many people, and that in turn helps you. The more you give, the more you receive. Just an abundant mentality, you know.
Yep. It's true, man, and I think you brought up a very good point that I can definitely relate to. As far as, you know, we've got this technology, internet, smartphones, social media, but most people use it to consume, and you know, they're kind of like I mentioned, they're at work, or they get off of work and they consume all of this kind of content day to day, as opposed to doing the opposite and realizing that, hey, this is a invention, but it's also like a tool that you can use, you know, to impact other people's lives, like you talk about. That's what kind of made me want to do videos a long time ago on my YouTube channel. But then when I realized, hey, things like Hex, things like crypto can actually benefit people's lives financially, that's honestly like the biggest burden that most people have. Like most people don't really have a future in sight as far as not working a job and not working a 9-to-5 and things like that. So if you can kind of educate them that, hey, this exists and the paradigm's changed a little bit, you know, not just stocks, but crypto and things like that, then maybe they'll listen to that if they actually want it.
People have been like handicapped by their programming of like normalcy. Like so many people just cannot break out. Like, you know, certain friends, I'm like, hey, you could have made like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, and they just don't, they're just like, damn, bro, like, well, back to my job, you know, like, it's like, dude, like, you say you're not a money person, but you work a job for money.
Yep.
Like, get it, like, come on, man, like, you know, but then it clicks for them, and then it's like, okay, money is freedom. Like, I'm not trying to sound hollow, but money is freedom. It's a key to freedom, at
1,000%.
least, you know? Like, you can't just, I mean, unless you want to go be a Buddhist monk or like go live in the Hare Krishna like temple and like spread the word of God for free and eat like, you know, eat some like church food and stuff. Like, you know, we want to expand. Like, money is part of it. I think money is spiritual. It's like the desire for money is your spirit telling you, hey, I want to live a more fulfilled life. I want to see more things. I want to do more things. That's like that's spiritual, you know? And people think like, oh, the lack of like, or like the root of all evil is money. No, the root of all evil is the lack of money. Straight up. If everyone was rich, everyone would just be happy and chill, you know, straight up. They'd just be good.
It's true. Well, like one of the first lines of Sci-Vive, because I remember flipping to the first page and I was like, damn, that's profound. But Richard was saying that, you know, if you want to fix the world, which is kind of Sci-Vive and fix the world, it's either Sci-Vive or fix the world. But anyways, to fix the world, you need to fix the money type of deal. And as I mentioned earlier, with the way that the dollar and other fiat currencies are just being printed into oblivion and devaluing what you're working for, then those people that don't have investments or assets that work for them, they're going to continue pretty much working forever because everything else is going up in value and they don't have things that are actually working for them. Richard has always said that, you know, you should never want to exchange like your time for money. And if you do, learn to get assets that actually work for you. So when you go to bed, you've got stuff that's making extra money.
Exactly. Like my parents, they have this like cognitive dissonance where like they won't take what I say like seriously. So like
Sure.
I'm like, hey, the Fed is literally printing so much money. Like your dollar's going to be half as valuable very soon. Like, hey, you need digital assets that will beat inflation. Like, hey, like wake up. And they're like, well, that money's not real. Like maybe we'll buy some gold. And I'm like, gold literally did worse than money. You would have been better off having money than holding gold, like, or just the same, you know, like, like if you're at home and you have parents and people around you that have like cognitive dissonance and they just can't wrap their head around like internet money and like how you can just be your own money printer, you're not alone, my friend. I face it every day. This frustrating battle of trying to like, free people, but they don't want to take what you're giving them, you know.
Yeah, it's the analogy that I use a lot of like, hey, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink type of deal. That's why, like,
you
when
cannot make them drink.
It's true. Like, that's why when I got the Uniswap airdrop on a couple wallets, it was like, okay, I know that this is very profound. I've already seen, maybe it was like the first 100 or however many X gains, but I knew that if I didn't give them some hex and kind of stake it for them, I knew that they would probably never make that decision themselves. Because most people don't really realize how powerful something like hex is. So anyways, yeah, sometimes people need to either just kind of see the results happen and maybe they'll come on board, or some people, still yell at Bitcoin and think it's a scam. And it's like 11, 12 years later, like it's still around. So some people can just never really update their paradigm. But for those that can, or for me, when I was abundant and gave some hex to some friends, they talk about it more than I do, and now their friends have gotten into it, and old co-workers have onboarded, and it's just kind of like a snowball effect.
Bro, that snowball that you sent down the hill has literally changed so many people's lives. Like, and you know how much good energy comes back to you because of that. Like, you're blessed, bro. Like, I love helping people because it feels good, but also like, I mean, you see the return in your life immediately. Like the energy, just like it's so beautiful when you know that your karma is so good because you just like help people. It's the easiest thing. It's so sweet.
It's like a reciprocation for me on the YouTube channel, and what makes me motivated to continue streaming and answer as many comments as I can is like you mentioned, there's a lot of people that get benefit from it. They similar to Richard, they like the straight information, straightforward, and not a whole bunch of other fluff and things like that. And it's kind of like that analogy or that quote where it's like, hey, if you can just help one person, then it's all worth it. And for me, I've literally started screenshotting all of the people that comment like, oh, thank you. And it's over hundreds of people that have learned something new or thought it was valuable. And to kind of have that experience is like, okay, I'm using, as we talked about, I'm using YouTube and the internet and social media for positive versus just like consuming,
Exactly, bro. Exactly. I literally I have a nice following on Instagram, stepdad, and I literally just all my stories are literally just like, hey, like they're like positive affirmations about being like rich and successful and free, and like telling people about being really healthy, and like just not me trying to like like flex my ego and like be like cool. I'm just out here like, yo, like here's the sauce, like take it if you want it. And I just get messages every day like, you changed my life, like life is beautiful now. Like I never like, you know, just all these things, and it just puts the biggest smile on my face. And I'm just like, and then I'll go out to get dinner, and like the person will just give it to me for free, or like, you know, like little things, bro. They just come back to you so crazily. Like I live in the city. I live in New York. I get help every day I step out the crib in some way, shape, or form. It's like the funniest thing.
No, that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, it's a great community too. You know, you mentioned that you followed Richard first, and then inevitably people kind of stumble across the Hexagon streamers because they're just so abundant. And then now I saw you the other day doing your first stream, which at least the first stream that I had witnessed of you actually doing it on your channel. So that was really cool, man. Especially with the following that you have, and kind of like cross promoting to the people that listen to the music. Maybe there's a few people that'll be able to hear about it that wouldn't have before.
Yeah, I know that shit's not gonna resonate with everyone, but the fact that I can get it to an immediate audience is gonna do something, and then that snowball will grow. So I have no doubt that shit will be awesome in due time. And like, it's just like doing, like, that's just what you got to do, man. Like, I feel wrong not doing that shit. It's like, I can't keep this to myself. Like, this has to be like put out to the world, you know? And people like you inspired me, bro. And that's really awesome. But really when I on Hex and shit, one thing that clicked in my brain too was like, dude, most of these people are old. Cause like, it's a certificate of deposit. So that's a very, like, young kids have no fucking idea what a certificate of deposit is. So, you know, Hex by default just attracts a more mature crowd. And I think what's needed now is a influx of young, cool Hexicans. So like, that's what I'm all about. Like, let's show that like Hex is not just a bunch of like older dudes. And hey, hats off to those dudes. I love those guys. Like, they're my fucking heroes. But like, I know how like things work with kids. I've been doing this like demographic shit, like figuring out what's cool, what isn't cool, what people think is awesome, and how to like get people's attention. And you know, if I show kids, like I'll put friends on and tell them to follow these crypto Twitters, and they're like, they don't really resonate sometimes with the older people, and I'm like, I get it, but like, you know, so we gotta have now, if we just have the influx of like people like us, like the younger side, and we just show that it's like abundant and different, and people are going to tap in, and eventually there's just going to be a bunch of young kids here next, and it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you know, you tend to relate to people that, you know, that you share most commonalities with. So like you mentioned, whether it's an age thing or an experience thing, I like it. I mean, hey, we've got people of all sorts, and honestly, like, the more the merrier. I've seen, let's see, at least one lady Hex and like Pulse streamer the other day, just starting up. Actually, she's just doing videos, but maybe she'll do streams in the future. But the actual like amount of people that are doing it is so much more than it was in the beginning. Like in the beginning, it was just Hexo, and then it was RG3, and then it kind of, you know, stumbled down from there. But now it's like, man, I can barely even keep up with all of these new people that in Twitter have like Hex in their profile or Pulse Chain, things like that. And it's cool to see something going from like pre-viral to viral, because at least it's something that's, you know, valuable, something that's like I said, providing value, as opposed to some of the other things that go viral that don't provide value.
Yeah, most things that are viral literally provide zero value, just nothing but like ego, like cool flex things, you know. And like, totally. I think Hex is gonna bring so much like positive influence to people, like telling kids that they could like I'm staked for 15 years for a good, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm 22. Yep. Like I'll be 37 years old when that shit happens. That's like not that far away, to be honest with you. Like, you know,
it's true.
Like it's definitely a lot. it's crazy to me that there's also like 50, 60-year-olds that are staked for 15 years, but I get that too. But like pitching that to these kids, it's like so much more like attainable. It's like, dude, you'll be that old in a moment. Like, just take it out of your hands and like you'll be rich forever, man. Like, like build a ladder, lock that shit up and take it out of your hands and watch what happens. Like, cause that's how you win, man. That's how you're going to win.
Well, totally. And it monetizes time, as you mentioned. So obviously something like 15 years is really hard to think about locking, today's value. But when you do a ladder, like you mentioned, whether it's, each year or biannually, things like that, then it becomes less of a fear and more of a like structure and more of a tool that people use in like other traditional finance, hence the CD ladder. So yeah, you can definitely use those things that have been proven to work in the past and use them for things like Hex. I mean, I know some people that do quarterly stakes or just different things where at least you're comfortable and you're not tempted to end that 15-year stake early, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm even so new to Hex. I mean, getting in June, that I don't even have a extensive ladder like most of you guys do. I just have like a 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, and a 15 year. And now it's like if I wanted to fill in all those holes, I mean, Ethereum would like sort of like the fees would wreck me. So I'm pretty much waiting until Pulse Chain to even like make my real ladder. I just have like the skeleton of the ladder, and then like.
Well, yeah.
And then like when Pulse comes through with like penny transactions, then I'll just like start. I wait. It would be cool to get those copies, but I'm mostly staked anyway, so it's like I don't even have that much to build like those ladders.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you bring up a very good point that a lot of the people that I've told about that wanted to throw a few $100 in, things like that, they were kind of prevented from the actual gas fees to get into something like Hex, or say if they had like a $300 principal. Well, now after all of those fees and then maybe even the staking, now it's like what, $75, $100. So I think that you mentioned things like Pulse Chain are definitely just going to make the system how it should be, because if you're going to have like virality and mass adoption, you need it to be easy for people to get on board.
Exactly. 1 second. You're right.
Yeah, I can see you fine. Yeah, glitched out for a second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, my thing was disconnected for a second. Yeah, bro. Like, we're so lucky. I still can't. Every day I try to fathom it more and more how lucky we are. But anyone watching this right now, I mean, like, we're so fucking early and so lucky. It's really like ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and it's like when opportunity meets preparation, because as you mentioned, there's some people that don't understand it or they hear about it and they don't understand it until years later. But yeah, it takes the knowledge in the first place to actually invest in something like that. So it's
like
important
for all this shit to happen. I don't recommend this, but I went all in. I was living with like no money in my bank account. I was like all in, like, because I had nothing really in the beginning. I just had to make it happen. I had like $6,000.
Yep.
And I started in February, and I've made life-changing, forever money out of $1,000. Like, to say that you're early is an understatement. Like,
Yeah.
that was months ago, dude. Like, months ago.
It's true, man. And I try to tell people that, hey, even with the first 10,000x that we've done, even like $100 principal, which most people can kind of understand from a terms of investment, but even $100 principal after 10,000x is, now $1 million. And that doesn't include obviously the staking and the interest and things like that. So that kind of paradigm can really relate to people that just have a few extra bucks to throw into it. But yeah, Pulse Chain's definitely going to help assist that.
Yeah, like on my Instagram, I'm telling these kids to do this shit, and they're like, and I know they're not like, gonna have a lot of money to do this shit. They're a lot of teenagers, and they're like, hey, like, only have like $400. I'm like, dude, let's go. Like, you got this shit. Like, you know, that's good, bro. Like people, some people think they're priced out forever, but it's like those people that go in are gonna make their life change, bro. You know, whether it's like super big or not that big, I mean, it's still gonna be like a thing for you, man. So just anyone out there who's like thinking like, oh, I don't know, I only have a few $100, like make it happen, man. Like, you got this. You got it.
Well, yeah. And like the more that you can educate yourself on what you're actually investing in, say with Hex, then you'd realize that like 10,000x was just the first milestone. You know, it's designed to do that 6.5 million X that Bitcoin literally did, and then more. So when people kind of put it into that perspective, you realize like, okay, we haven't even done, you know, 100,000x or a million X, let alone the 6.5 million X that it's designed to do. You know, it can kind of change people's perspective on, okay, this really is early and I just need to be patient, which the staking can help with.
Like, yeah, you probably didn't get in at a fraction of a penny, but like, you got in under $1. Like, you're fucking lucky, dog. I don't care what it is. Like, you're lucky. And like,
well, yeah.
And then I have friends that hit me up about this dip, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like, are we good?" And I'm like, "Dude, this is what has to happen for you to make mad gains. Like, if you can't handle the volatility, you can't handle the gains, dog, because it's gonna like shock you what you're gonna see. You know, like if you want to see another 1,000x like in the near future, then weekend gotta get shaken out. Like, people gotta get scared. Like, whales gotta make their bags even bigger. So like, this is just a part of the game, man. You gotta sit back and just be like 99% staked, you know?
Yeah, no, it's yeah, like you mentioned, it's a lot easier not to panic sell when you understand it. You're being incentivized to hold and stake, things like that. But at the end of the day, as you talk about, you can't have that 6.5 million X gains without a lot of dips in between. And it's not like a bug, it's a feature, is what Richard says. And I agree. I mean, a lot of people, they, you know, each one of those candles is kind of like a emotional reaction for them. And if you can kind of just understand that, hey, this is the process, it happens every now and then. I mean, Hexicans, myself included, held through a like 86.14% retracement, you know, during November of 2020. So it's just something that kind of repeats in cycle. And then once it does make that bottom, it's like, okay, time to go back up again. So it does it a lot more quickly than, say, things like Bitcoin.
You early Hexicans are straight legends, dog. Like,
yeah,
the fact that you could see through the bullshit and the lies and the FUD that early, hats off, Jen. You deserve all the millions and schmillions and billions of dollars that come your way.
yeah, no, it's not easy, right? Standing up in front of adversity, especially when like everyone, at least on YouTube, aside from Richard and the Hexicans, were calling it a scam and things like this. And honestly, that's kind of what made me like double down in the first place. And I had already been following Richard for such a long time, so I knew everything was legit. But I've always been that contrarian type where that's how I found Richard. Was someone was a Litecoin maximalist, they were talking bad about Richard, and I was like, okay, instead of just trusting that person on what they're saying, let me verify. And turns out it was the best decision to verify their BS, right? Because I found out that, hey, you know, someone like Richard's trying to help, trying to get back and, you know, make the world a better place. So
this shit is backwards, dude. If people are telling you to go one way, you better look the other. You know? Like,
or at least consider it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I literally, if I'm like sort of a punk. If you tell me what to do, I'll probably do the opposite.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, me too, man.
That's how you're gonna break away and maybe win big, you know. But while people are telling you to stack Satoshis and shit like that, yeah, you look the other way.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an older paradigm too. There's a lot of people that kind of just stay with what they know instead of realizing that, hey, there's constantly innovation, constantly things going on. And it's as Richard talks about, would say like the fax machine, things like that it was beneficial for its time. But if someone's still a fax machine maximalist, little do they realize, you know, everything's digital anymore. So it's kind of similar with things like Bitcoin or just other cryptocurrencies in general, even from like Ethereum to Pulse Chain. There's a lot of things that Ethereum has been talking about doing, and good for them. I want to see, obviously, the success of that. But something like Pulse Chain is kind of just, not talking a whole bunch, and it's kind of putting in the work and the effort, which I think Richard has always been a really good participant of.
100%. What's the chat looking like? How do we go through the
Yeah,
chat?
I was gonna say. So let's see. It says you look like a young Christopher Walken. That's one guy. We got
Thanks, Archie.
Bid Finesse. I'm old school, so heavy. Oh, they're talking about berries are good for like anti-cancer. That's awesome, man. The more you know. That's another thing that Hexicans have kind of gone through, as I mentioned, is especially when you're staking for that long and understanding how important it is. It makes you want to be healthier today and to do things to live for those stakes and be able to actually enjoy the wealth.
Yes, like you want to talk about longevity research and all that shit. Well, why don't you research what food is going to keep you around longer? And
Yeah, man.
I'll tell you right, the food that's going to keep you around longer and be healthy and wealthy and inside and out is fruits and vegetables, man. That's how you're gonna like feel good all the time. Like I'm on the vegan tip, and it really I wouldn't be able to. I don't think I would have been able to manifest any money in my life if I wasn't healthy and vegan, because I started to feel so good. I used to feel like shit. I was eating the food that my parents gave me as a kid. I used to eat fast food and burgers and fried chicken, and I used to have health problems and all this stuff. And I started eating what's real, which is just fruits and vegetables and plant-based things, and not like that fake meat and all that like fake, like modern day health that's not real. Just sticking true to what's real, like real like smoothies with fresh fruit and like salads for dinner and all that stuff. Like that is how you feel wealthy inside, and then outside, what you feel inside is what's going to come outside manifesting. So, you Hexicans that are getting rich, you got to take your health seriously, man. If you want, like,
Yep.
We're going to be rich as fuck. We already are rich as fuck. And if you're rich as fuck, you want to live a long life. You probably want to be 100 years old. I want to be like 120 years old.
Hell yeah.
Like, I'm 22 years old. I got another 100 years in me, man. So,
totally.
like, health is what it's all about for me. That's a big thing. That's huge. So
it's true, man. Yeah, like that's why the actual $27 million that got donated to the charity, to SENS, things like that. Richard definitely knows what the bigger picture is and the bigger plan, but you have to get people wealthy and fulfill their desires first before they can even consider or even care about that, right? I agree, man. Health is super important, and a lot of people, it's just like that delayed gratification thing where, and I've been very guilty of this too, and constantly trying to improve. But most people would take the marshmallow today versus 2 of them in the future. Like, and what I mean by that is they'll not take, say, the healthier option or the cardio, the working out. Instead, they'll kind of just delay it and not do that in the future. And that's kind of how you degrade and feel bad and things like that. So it's important.
Yeah, I mean, like I used to have colds all the time. I used to have sinus problems. I used to have pimples. I used to have like all dandruff, all these things. And then I started eating a ton of fruits and vegetables. I lost all my like excess weight, and I started feeling like I didn't need to drink coffee anymore. I didn't need to like smoke weed all the time. I didn't need to like drink alcohol to feel good. You just can feel like you're high naturally, like from fresh food, man. And like then your digestion is good, and you just are. It's like God's temple, right? Like it's important. Like God wants a clean temple. He doesn't want a nasty old temple, So it's like
very true.
The real flex when we're all old and stuff is really just health, Like how much longevity do you got? Wait, hold up. My earbuds are
yeah, no, I think honestly it's probably a good time for us to wrap up. We're at like the hour and 10-minute mark. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, if you want, maybe we can wrap up here and finish the rest of the conversation on on the next stream. I know maybe we can do it on your channel next time, or
Yeah.
kind of cross promote, and that would be a great opportunity as well for everyone.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on talking. I really appreciate it. And like, thanks for inspiring me to do this and like use my voice for good things and spread the sauce, man. It's really important. And thank you. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Of course. Hey, thank you as well. It's all a collaborative effort, and I wouldn't be doing this if there wasn't anyone watching, right? So it's cool that we have that opportunity. And yeah, so for people that don't know, your channel is Mystic Pimp on YouTube, and then you said what is it, Punk Stepdad on Instagram, and then on Twitter it's Mystic Pimp 222, right?
There you go. You got it.
Whoops. Okay, cool. Well, awesome, man. Thanks again for coming on. We'll do it again sometime in the future. And everyone go give him a follow, go subscribe. And once again, we'll do it again in the future. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, bro. Have a great night, man. Appreciate all you guys. We're all blessed. Be grateful.
Oh yeah.
We're lit.
Be sure to hit that subscribe
Peace,
button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. BallietBran.